Hey folks, this is Kalani. Patch 8.3 is just around the corner. We only have 2 more weeks to wait. But is this patch going to be something worth coming back to the game for, or something to get super excited about? I get asked quite a lot, especially in my guild, how big is this patch going to be? I heard there are no new zones. Does that mean it's a tiny patch? The only thing to do is raid and maybe the vision thing, right? Doesn't sound like a lot. Well, some parts of that are true, which made me feel like I should tally everything up and talk about how much we're going to have to keep us occupied in this patch. Will this be another massive patch like 8.2, or is this going to feel more like the minor patches that we've seen in between? Let's break it all down. So first things first, there are no new zones. Most of the activities that we have out in the world for patch 8.3 will be taking place in Uldum and the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. We haven't been back to these zones in quite a while, but they are by no means new. The Vale has been updated to reflect its recovered status from the Horrors of the Mists of Pandaria expansion, but apart from that, it's the same old Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Not having a new zone to explore is a bit of a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's not new. Having a new area, a new zone, a new story to explore with an update or patch is always going to be exciting because it's not something that we've seen before. Delving down into Nazjatar was a great example. They did a fantastic job with that zone as a whole, and it was an area that we've been waiting to see for a long time. Mechagon worked similarly well, though in a completely different way. Going back to an older zone can sometimes feel like the dev team are just reusing assets to be lazy. But the other side of this choice is incredibly important. Reusing an old zone which has become obsolete frees up a crazy amount of development time. If you don't have to build a new mini-world from the ground up, that's a lot of time that can be spent on other things. That can mean more time on other areas of 8.3 or even more time on the next expansion. Both are positive outcomes in my opinion, and the way in which both Uldum and the Vale are integrated into the story work very well when you play through it. N'Zoth's invasion of Azeroth has begun, and he's targeting very specific structures that pose a significant threat. Many Titan facilities on Azeroth hold certain powers and technologies that could prove to be problematic to the old god, especially the ones in Uldum and the Vale. Almost all of the new activities for 8.3 in these zones revolve around protecting the Titan facilities and driving back the various forces that seek to claim the Titan's power as their own. So while the zones themselves aren't new, what we'll be doing in them certainly will be. The most important piece of content in the 2 new zones is the new assaults. There's different factions that will assault the 2 zones, including N'Zoth and the Black Empire. You can progress through an assault by doing almost anything in the zone, which is always nice, and you'll be well rewarded for your efforts. If you have limited playtime, the assaults will be first on your priority list. They don't take too long, and you can only complete 3 to 4 assaults per week, so it's not going to keep you super busy, but it will be something you don't want to get behind on. Each zone will also have a handful of daily quests each day. These have very typical requirements. Kill some baddies, loot some stuff, defend some cargo. Nothing all too exciting here. Completing your daily quests will help progress any assaults that are ongoing, so you can hit 2 birds with 1 stone, which is always nice as well. I wouldn't expect them to keep you busy for too long either. Their main purpose seems to be to progress your reputation bar with the 2 new factions, 1 for each zone. Those factions will have the usual goodies, mounts, pets, toys, and a new essence at rank 3. More on essences later. If you love to grind reps, patch 8.3 will bring you 2 new friends to reach Exalted with. I know a lot of players aren't all too happy with the rep grinds in BfA so far, but at least it's an extra objective we have to work towards. There's also a different kind of daily activity in the new zones called Minor Visions. You've probably heard at least a little bit about Visions of N'Zoth. Well, these smaller visions are on a daily cooldown and they always come with a daily quest. That daily quest is more valuable than all of the others combined, so be sure you complete the objective when you enter the vision before you focus on anything else in there. You'll be timed thanks to the sanity bar you have in all visions, and if you die you'll get kicked out as well. If you get kicked out because you run out of sanity or you die, you won't be able to enter another minor vision until the daily reset. All of the monsters in these minor visions will drop the Coalescing Visions currency, which is going to be very important, but it's probably not going to be worth farming them after some of the more recent changes to the patch. I think minor visions will very much end up being, finish the daily quest, then get out. If that's the case, they shouldn't take longer than 10 minutes for the most part, and you'll want to come back every day to get this activity done, as the reward is always going to be worth the time investment, so there's at least one reason to log in day after day. If you find yourself with limitless time and just want to farm and grind, the zones are also filled with random events themed after the Assaults faction, a whole bunch of rares, and of course the landscape is also littered with chests, which may or may not contain something useful. Probably not though, let's be honest. Each zone will also have a new world boss, so that's one extra chance per week to get some high item level loot. This time the world bosses will be dropping item level 445 gear. That should prove to be very useful for anyone who doesn't delve too deep into the raiding scene. We might not be getting any new zones, but the dev team have definitely crammed a lot into the 2 zones they decided to reuse. And then there's the big new system of the patch, the Horrific Visions of N'Zoth. I think this will be what most people are excited for and most interested in progressing through. You can go into these on your own or with a full party of 5. Honestly, a full party does seem to make it quite a bit easier and allows you to take advantage of more utility than if you were on your own, but it's perfectly doable if you want to go solo as well. I've managed to clear all 5 objectives on my own on the PTR, but you do have to work up to that. You'll start off by clearing just the main objective, then going a bit further and getting 1 bonus done with the main objective, and keep adding on the bonuses until you can comfortably clear the entire thing. There's a lot of progression involved with this system. If you try to go balls to the wall and go for 2 bonus objectives right at the start, you'll probably end up failing the vision, and failing a vision is going to put you behind quite a bit. It's imperative that you finish the main objective in your first few visions, at least until you've upgraded your cloak to rank 6, I think it is. So this isn't something you really want to rush. It's meant to be a gradual thing. That's part of the fun really. See how far you can go without being stupidly reckless, because if you mess up, it is actually going to matter. After you get to the point where you can clear all 5 bonus objectives, you can also start looking for the hidden masks. These provide extra challenges past the initial difficulty curve, so honestly you can keep progressing with the vision system for quite a long time. You'll need to upgrade your cloak, upgrade all your talents in the Titan Archive, and play really well if you want to complete a vision with the masks enabled. I'm really excited to see how that all pans out, but if you were worried that you would get to a point where visions are just a pushover and not worth your time, there is an option to add difficulty and keep pushing yourself. This could end up being way more enjoyable when compared to the Mage Towers or with the training from Legion. There's also another talent tree to work your way through, as well with the Titan Archive. These talents help you progress further into a horrific vision. It's another source of character power and progression in the patch, and it lets you choose between solo style play and group style play, which is pretty interesting. It's always nice to have another system to work your way through and be able to see constant progress. And at the center of your Horrific Vision progress is the Legendary Cloak. You'll pick this up from the intro quests and you can upgrade it by completing Horrific Visions. Your cloak is the key to staying in visions for longer and negating the nasty corruption value that you'll start to see on various pieces of gear. Your cloak's item level will increase with every upgrade, providing you with extra stats to increase your performance in all types of content, and when you upgrade it enough you'll even start to see special abilities and procs to help you even further. The Legendary Cloak might be the single most important part of patch 8.3 to pay attention to, as it's going to affect your character's power in a whole variety of ways. The cloak also provides you with another farm or grind to work towards, but in a much more structured way when compared to the Heart of Azeroth. The Heart of Azeroth grind just tells you to go farm artifact power. Not very exciting. The Legendary Cloak requires you to finish specific objectives in the Horrific Vision scenarios. As your cloak gets stronger, you need to push further into the visions and complete harder objectives to keep upgrading it. I think the whole process has shaped up quite nicely. It should make for an enjoyable progression path for a lot of players. Patch 8.3 will also introduce a new round of essences. Most of the rank 1s will be more or less handed to you on a silver platter, and it's the rank 2s and 3s that you'll need to work for. Most of the time these essences will come along naturally if you're taking part in Patch 8.3's content. They're tied to the Horrific Visions, to the new reputations we'll be working with, the new raid tier. You get the idea. If you're playing Patch 8.3 and exploring all it has to offer, you'll get all of the essences at rank 3 without any troubles. Some of the newer essences races are also shaping up to be quite powerful and interesting, which will hopefully make the previous essence grind a little less impactful. If you're a bit worried about playing 8.3 because you don't have any essences sorted out just yet, it might not matter too much depending on what class you're playing. The new essences will all come from relevant content, and if they end up being more powerful, then you won't need any older essences at all. I'm glad they're expanding the essence system and introducing new, different powers into the mix, but it is quite frustrating that they don't want to acknowledge the glaring issues with the system as a whole. But either way, if you enjoy the essence grind, then you'll have a few more to pick up. If you hate the essence grind, you should be happy to know that most of the new ones don't really require any grinding at all. Speaking of grinding, the Heart of Azeroth is going to level up as well by giving you more levels to grind for. I know, not the most exciting of features, but it will give you access to another miner slot. That is pretty exciting. Chopping and changing which essences you use is one of the actual fun parts of the system, and being able to cram another miner power into the mix should prove to be both a huge power increase and an interesting puzzle to figure out. Do you go for some more AoE, more single target, more cooldown oriented essences? Maybe pick up some of the weirder ones from 8.3. The choice is yours. With some more essences to choose from, hopefully we can have more options for different types of content too. There's also a couple of new allied races opening up for play with 8.3. The Vulpera and the Mechanomes will be joining the ever-expanding club of playable characters. Now, all of the requirements for these races are in the game right now, so that's not really any new content. You will have an introduction quest in 8.3 to complete like all the other races, but that's kind of it. The rest of the content around allied races is just playing a new race. That's either going to be amazing because you love the idea of playing a Vulpera, or completely irrelevant because you don't care about playing a Vulpera. Having more options for character customization, including new races with different racials and themes, is always going to be good for the game, but I wouldn't necessarily say it adds a whole bunch of content to the patch. That's not going to stop me spending way too long leveling one up for the heritage armor though. In a similar vein, all allied races will also be able to be Death Knights in patch 8.3. There is one slight catch to this though. To create an allied race Death Knight, you will have to purchase the Shadowlands expansion. Again, not really added content if you don't care about it, but it's a cool addition for any Death Knights out there who are bored of the initial race choices. Go Panda Death Knights! And as with every other patch in Battle for Azeroth will also be treated to a new Mythic Plus affix. I think it's called Awakened at this point. They did away with the corrupted name kind of quickly. This is probably my favourite affix so far, and I'm really excited to jump back into Mythic Plus. The Beguiling affix killed it a bit for me, but Awakened looks to be a lot of fun. You can change so much about a dungeon run based on how you handle this affix. I think most people will enjoy Mythic Plus far more with this affix in play. There's also a new PvP season for all those chaps out there who love to slaughter each other. That comes with the usual goodies, mounts, titles, achievements, gear, and of course a new raid tier. The raid will open up a week after patch 8.3 launches, so we don't have to wait too long at all, and this one promises to be an incredible adventure. We're delving into the heart of the Black Empire and taking on N'Zoth himself. This can only be an amazing raid, and let's be honest, raids are half of the reason a lot of us come back to the game for any given patch anyway, so having another one a week after this patch goes live is going to be massive. It's also shaping up to be one of the longest raid tiers that we've had recently, with 12 bosses to take down in the Nyalotha raid, including some surprise appearances. They'll start to make sense when you work your way through all the introduction questlines in patch 8.3, which is also one of the longest introduction questlines we've had in a long time. Hopefully they'll have an alt skip on that, because right now it probably takes maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to get through the whole thing. If you have to do that on all your alts, that might get a bit tiresome, but the first time round, it's a lot of fun. I've already gone through it a few times on the PTR, but I'm still excited to go through it again when this patch hits live servers. So all in all, we don't get any new zones, but the dev team did fill up 2 old zones with a bunch of activities. We have assaults to complete, daily quests to grind, minor visions to contend with, rares, events and chests to farm, and even some new world bosses thrown into the mix. There's also the new horrific visions feature, which will provide you with a lot of personal progression. Each time you enter a vision, you'll want to go further, kill more, get more objectives done, find more secrets and chests, and eventually clear the entire thing. Then there's more progression progression past that with the hidden masks that empower the visions even further. The Titan Research talent tree gives you a few options in how to progress, and you'll always be working towards upgrading your legendary Cloak. There are all new powerful essences, more levels to grind in your Heart of Azeroth, corrupted gear to collect, allied races to level up, a new Mythic Plus affix to learn, a brand new raid tier to explore, and everything else that comes along with a new patch, like mounts, pets, transmogs, secrets, achievements, and more. It might not look like a large patch when you just read the patch notes, but we're going to have a lot to keep us busy until the next expansion rolls around, or maybe even an 8.3.5. I'm super stoked for 8.3 to go live, and I can't wait to clear through the new raid. What are you most excited about in patch 8.3? Do you think 8.3 is going to have enough to do from what you've seen so far? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.